One of the biggest single problems faced by men and women today is a shortage of time. In seminar after seminar, when I ask people what their biggest problem is, it is almost invariably the ability to sort through an enormous number of things they have to do in a short period of time. Accelerated learning techniques are not time consumers as you might think. Instead, they are some of the most powerful time-saving techniques you can ever learn. Instead of taking 5 or 10 years to reach a certain level in your career with the new knowledge and skills you have to have, you can achieve the same level and the same income in 1 or 2 years by learning accelerated learning methods. Especially since you know you must be learning continuously to stay current and to move ahead in your field, accelerated learning techniques will enable you to gain the knowledge and skills you require with far less time and effort. Instead of spending 20 hours per week of serious study to learn a subject, you may be able to learn with even greater efficiency and effectiveness in 10 hours or even 5. This means that you have even more time to spend with the important people in your life, or to learn other subjects that can move you ahead in your career more rapidly. You will have a chance to learn many different subjects and skills in the course of your lifetime. Some of the skills are peripheral to your life, and some of them are central. Some of them are interesting and enjoyable from time to time, and some of them are absolutely essential to everything else you do. For example, algebra and geometry are peripheral skills. You may spend a lot of time learning them and passing the required examinations, but your likelihood of using them in your adult life and work are very small. They help to train your brain and to teach you to understand basic mathematical concepts, but they are peripheral to your future. In each field, there are core skills, what we call critical success factors. Smart people, again, are those who identify these critical success factors and then make a plan to become excellent in each one of them. They know that a weakness in any one of their critical success areas can lead to underachievement and frustration in using all the others. A skill like time management is a central or core skill. The way you manage your time affects everything else you do and everything that happens to you, because your entire life is something made up of the minutes and hours of each day. People who accomplish a lot with their lives have dedicated themselves to becoming excellent time managers. Accelerated learning, like time management, is a core skill or core competence in life. It is central to everything you do. Becoming excellent at learning to learn can do more to improve every other area of your life than almost any other skill that you can ever acquire. Learning to learn and accelerated learning techniques gives you a key that you can place in the ignition of your own potential, and you can then turn it on and take your life wherever you want it to go. At the beginning of this course, I told you about my lifelong quest for the answer to the question, why is it that some people are more successful than others? I also said that the people who succeed greatly are those who know more than others in their field, while the people who underachieve and fail are simply those who know less. Your job is to join the former and get away from the latter. Your job is to be one of the most knowledgeable and skilled people in your field, and to get away from the people who are not equally committed to moving in that same direction. It's amazing how many people continue to work away at their jobs year after year and never even think about taking the time to become really good at what they're doing. For some strange reason, they don't realize that they can dramatically improve the quality of every part of their lives by that little extra effort that puts them into the top 10% or 20% in their field. Perhaps the greatest reward of succeeding at anything you really care about is not what you get, but what you become. The greatest benefit of becoming a millionaire over the course of your career is not the money and the material goods that you acquire. The greatest of all benefits is the excellent character that you have to develop in the process. To become wealthy in a highly competitive society, you must develop characteristics, qualities, and attributes that make you a more exceptional human being. And the wonderful thing is, if something happens and you lose your money once you've achieved it through the development of your character, you will almost always be able to make it back again. This is because it is the person you are, as much as the things you do, that will be responsible for your wealth. Self-esteem, self-respect, and personal pride are the real rewards. It is when you reach the point where you conclude that you are really a good person, that you are valuable and worthwhile to yourself and others, that you have inner peace and contentment. It is when you feel that you have really performed at the outer edge of your potential and won through in achieving something important to you that you really feel good about yourself. The flip side of the coin of self-esteem and self-liking is self-efficacy. In other words, you only really feel good about yourself when you know that you are really good at doing the things that are most important to you. The better you do, the more you like yourself. The more you like yourself, the better you do. When you do an excellent job and you receive the recognition and respect of others, you respect yourself more as well. The more that others respect you, the more you respect yourself. The more you respect yourself, the harder you work, the better you do, and the more others will respect you, until it becomes a continuous upward spiral of success, achievement, self-esteem, self-respect, and a wonderful feeling of personal pride. I mentioned earlier that a positive mental attitude is a key requirement for success in almost any field. There's some confusion over the idea of a positive mental attitude and the tendency of some people to be foolishly optimistic and to wish for totally impossible things. They are not the same. I prefer the concept of positive knowing to that of positive thinking. Positive knowing is when you have an absolute conviction deep down within yourself that you can overcome any obstacles to the achievement of any goals that you set for yourself. In order to reach the point where you absolutely know, with a deep inner sense of conviction, that you can learn any subject you want, you must set a learning goal for yourself and then stick to it until you succeed. You must demonstrate unquestionably to yourself that you absolutely have the ability to learn and master a new subject. What I recommend for you is that you do the same that I have done over the years. Establish a learning project and a schedule for yourself. Resolve that over the next year, more or less, you are going to learn a specific subject, and you're going to master that subject to some standard. It can be small or large, it doesn't matter. The most important thing is that you must convince yourself at a subconscious level that you can learn anything you put your mind to. You can set the task of learning to type 50 words per minute without mistakes. You can then get a touch typing course, preferably one on a computer, and go to work to learn it. You can decide you want to master a computer, especially the word processing and personal management programs. Set yourself a target, make a schedule, determine how you will measure your success, and then get started. Set yourself a schedule and work on it every day, every week, every month, until you have succeeded. If you're in sales, you should identify your weakest critical success factor and make a plan to become absolutely excellent in that one area that is probably holding you back. If you don't know what it is, ask the people around you for input. Have someone come out with you on sales calls. Take tests if necessary and read books. Examine your selling activity and determine the areas that you dislike the most. Almost invariably, these are the areas where you are doing poorly as well. If you're in management or if you have your own business, look at the parts of your work that cause you the most irritation or frustration. Ask for input from other people. Find out what it is that you are doing poorly and make a decision to become excellent in that area. Don't try to change the whole world at once. Be patient with yourself. Don't set a schedule to suddenly become good at a particular task in 30 days. Give yourself 3, 6, 9, or even 12 months to learn the skill. Then, work at it little by little. You'll be absolutely amazed at the progress you will make if you take the pressure off of yourself on the one hand and you follow a specific learning schedule on the other. After 30 years of research and study into success, I've come to the conclusion that success is based on 7 key principles. Of course, there are many, many more and many more variations on these 7, but these 7 serve as a platform from which anyone can achieve far more than they ever have before. These 7 success characteristics or principles are: first, a clear sense of purpose; second, the acceptance of complete responsibility for everything that happens to you; third, a commitment to excellence in your field; fourth, dedication to serving other people the very best way possible; fifth, an ability to cooperate and work well with others; sixth, creativity and the ability to continuously seek out faster, better, easier, cheaper ways to get things done; and the 7th is the quality of persistence. This is the determination and resolve to keep on keeping on in the face of adversity until you finally achieve your goals. In all the studies of success, the most important step seems to be the first one. The success of everything you've learned in this course will be totally determined by your willingness and ability to set a goal, make a plan, and to begin in the first place. After that, it will be your ability to persist, week after week and month after month, that will determine how rapidly you become a super learner and unlock the incredible powers of your intelligence to achieve anything you really want in life. You're only really happy when you are moving toward clear goals of your own choosing. As I said before, happiness is the progressive realization of a worthy goal or ideal. It's only when you're working step by step toward the achievement of an important goal and you can measure your progress that you feel like a winner, that you feel wonderful about yourself. Nothing succeeds like success. Moving progressively towards your goal gives you a feeling of exhilaration, excitement, and happiness. It motivates you and enthuses you. It drives you onward and gives you the kind of resolution and persistence that enables you to overcome the inevitable obstacles on your way. In the old days, perhaps you achieved your goal by means of hard physical effort. But today, in the age of mind power, you achieve your goals by becoming better and better at the key knowledge and skills that you need to move ahead. And the more and better you learn the key skills and apply them to get better and faster results, the more rapidly you move towards your goal. Accelerated learning is therefore the key to accelerated goal achieving and the feeling of happiness and success that goes with it. The second principle, that of responsibility, is central to everything else. The great majority of adults have made a serious mistake. They missed the turn on the road, and they are going down the wrong path. The way it happened was simple. When you were young, in kindergarten or first grade, you were taken to school and education was something that was done to you. You were a passive recipient of the education. One teacher once compared education to what he called the beer pitcher method of learning. He said that at the beginning of the year, the students file into the class with empty mugs. The professor has a full pitcher of beer at the front. During the course of the semester, the teacher pours parts of the beer or knowledge into the glasses of each student. On examination day, the students then file past the teacher and pour their beer back into his pitcher in the form of the examinations. They then go out into the world having forgotten almost all of what they had learned, while the professor starts the next semester with a full pitcher. At the end of your formal schooling, you go through a ceremony. This is called the commencement ceremony, not the termination ceremony. Many people think that this ceremony marks the end of their education, but it's called the commencement ceremony because it's actually the beginning of your education. All that a good basic education in high school and university can ever teach you is how to learn for yourself from then on. There are adults in their 40s and 50s with college degrees who are still waiting for someone else to come along and do education to them. When companies arrange training programs, they often have to coax, demand, and even threaten termination to people to get them to take the additional education. The great majority of people think that education is something that they do to please someone else. And now that they're adults, they don't have to do it if they don't want to. People who accept total responsibility are those who realize that their education is in their own hands for the rest of their lives. They realize that everything that happens to them from the time they go out on their own until the time they retire is totally determined by their own willingness and ability to learn and apply the skills they need to move ahead in their fields. Here's the rule. Continuous learning is now the minimum requirement for success in any field. No company can guarantee you lifelong employment, and only you can guarantee yourself lifelong employability. You are responsible. The third principle of success is the commitment to excellence, the commitment to being the very best that you can be, and to doing the very best job you can do at anything that is given to you. It's astonishing how many people feel that they can get by with average performance. However, average performance only earns average rewards. Above average performance earns above average rewards, and excellent performance eventually earns excellent rewards. In every case where you see a person experiencing job insecurity, you see a person who has not taken the time to become very good at what they do. They are always the first people who are laid off because they're the ones who contribute the least value to their organizations. They are the easiest ones to replace. They're the ones who are least missed when they go. Don't let yourself ever become one of these. The only way that you can become one of the best people in your field is through continuous learning. It is only by learning to learn and accelerating your learning in the key areas that your field requires today and will require tomorrow that you can be the best and stay the best. There's no other way for you to achieve excellence than by committing yourself to becoming a little bit better every single day. And if you're not getting better, you are actually getting worse. If you're not progressing, you are regressing. Things are changing so rapidly today that no one can afford to stay still for very long. Whatever work you do, it is probably becoming obsolete at the rate of 20 or 30% per year, perhaps even more. By the year 2000, fully 80% of all the jobs in our society will be different and maybe even substantially different from what they are today. They will require totally different sets of skills and abilities. Your job is to keep rolling forward, and accelerated learning techniques are the fundamental skills of that process. The fourth quality of success, perhaps the most important, is the ability to render useful service to other people. We live in a service society. We live by serving others in some way. The quality and quantity of our rewards is always determined by the quality and quantity of our service to others. In a free society, we are always paid exactly in proportion to the value of our service to our fellow man or woman. The house you live in and the car you drive is a measure of your service. If you want to enjoy greater rewards, you must increase the quality and quantity of the service you are rendering to other people. And in the information age, the only way that you can increase the value of what you do for your company and for others is by learning skills that make you a more valuable contributor. A good friend of mine is a salesman. He found that selling was becoming more and more competitive. He was a professional salesman, and he was making about $4,000 per month and working very hard at it. He realized that if he wanted to stand out from the other salespeople in his field, he was going to have to do something different. He began looking around. He realized that customers were getting busier and busier, and they had less and less time to spend with salespeople, no matter how professional or personable they were. So he began to work on his sales presentations to make them more dramatic and entertaining, as well as persuasive. He discovered the incredible world of computer-generated graphics and sales presentations that could be projected on a wall or screen from a computer. With this technology, he found that he could actually customize an entire presentation with the name of the individual and his or her company on every page in a few minutes prior to meeting with the customer. He could use graphics, cartoon figures, charts, quotes, and a variety of other devices, including animation, to make his sales presentations literally jump off the wall in front of the customer, with the customer's name appearing everywhere. He now earns more than $20,000 per month as a salesperson. His customers refer him to other prospects, telling them that you've got to meet this guy and see his sales presentation. It's better than a television special. What can you do to increase the value of your service to your customers today? What new knowledge and skills can you acquire that will make you stand out in your field? Since you're the president of your own personal services corporation, what are the things that you can do to achieve meaningful competitive advantage in your field? In every case, you will come back to the need to learn and to learn rapidly. The biggest problems facing corporations and individuals today seem to be changes in the nature of technology, changes in the nature of competition, changes and improvements in products and services, changes in the requirements and demands of human resources, and changes in the political and economic system. The bottom line is always change, and only those who are the most flexible and adaptable can possibly survive in a world of rapid, continuous, and unpredictable change. At the turn of the century, almost the entire world was made up of farmers. Even in America, which was highly urbanized at the time, fully 55% of the population lived and worked on farms. It was generally agreed at that time by the so-called experts that the mix would never change. It would take half the population in the country to feed the other half of the population in the cities. But then came the technological revolution in agriculture. Just as it had happened in Britain in the 19th century, freeing up millions of farm workers to move to the cities and to provide the labor for the Industrial Revolution, it began to happen rapidly in America as well. And the more people moved from the farms to the cities, as they were displaced by modern machinery, the more jobs opened up for them in manufacturing, and today in technology. Today, less than 3% of the population works on farms, and less than 2% of the population are really seriously in the business of farming. These few people left on the land not only produce more food than was ever dreamed of in previous decades, but they produce surpluses so huge that they are sent overseas by the shipload to those countries that are less fortunate. Today, there's a labor shortage in the cities and towns of America, but it is not a shortage for uneducated, unskilled labor. It is a shortage amongst those men and women who can perform the tasks that are needed in a high-tech society. The more rapidly you become one of them, the more continuously in demand you will be wherever you go and whatever you do. If you want to be a big financial success, just look around you and ask yourself what it is that you can do where you can serve other people the best and contribute the most value to their work and their lives. Then, commit yourself to learning what you need to learn to become really excellent at doing that job for them. The fifth key skill for success in our society is the ability to cooperate and work effectively with others. All work today is done by teams. The ability to be an effective team member and later to be an effective team leader will determine your success in life as much or more than any other single skill. On the other hand, lack of social skills or the inability to get along with others is the major obstacle to success in any business or industry today. Interpersonal skills are so highly valued as to be almost immeasurable, and you can develop the interpersonal skills you need to perform your work in an outstanding fashion. No one is born with them. You can develop them through the processes that we have discussed here. You can decide what they are, get the information to suit yourself, activate your 7 intelligences, and then commit them to memory through study and practice. In no time at all, you can add a new skill set to your toolbox of abilities and move your career forward another notch, or maybe even several notches. The most detailed studies on the skills that will be essential for you to have to survive and thrive in the coming millennium, according to the U.S. government, are almost all interpersonal skills. This is because specific knowledge and specific technological skills can and will become obsolete over time. But key interpersonal skills are things that you will need to have and use all the days of your life. The first of these skills is the ability to memorize material. This is obvious. Learning does you no good if you cannot remember it and use it at an appropriate time. The second set of skills is the ability to communicate effectively with others, the ability to speak, write, and listen well. If you can't do these in an excellent fashion, you will have to work for someone else who can. The third type of skill you will need is the ability to negotiate with others. Since all of life is a negotiation from the time you get up in the morning and negotiate over who is going to use the toaster or the bathroom, throughout the day and through every purchase or sale you make, the ability to negotiate is a key interpersonal skill. The better you are at it, the better life you're going to have all around. You will also need the skills of problem solving and decision making. Fully 50 to 60% of a manager's time is spent in solving problems and making decisions. In fact, your entire life, whether as a manager or not, is one unbroken process of problem solving and decision making. The only choice you have about this is whether or not you're going to become excellent at it. Almost all the difficulties you've experienced in your life have been as a result of poor problem solving and poor decision making skills. You have come to the wrong conclusions and therefore done the wrong things, which in retrospect have proven to be very expensive and painful to you. Problem-solving and decision-making skills are again like learning to type with a typewriter. You can become extremely good at using your brain to navigate and negotiate the shoals and pitfalls of life through ongoing training. You will need the skills of influencing and persuading others as well. In fact, in life, you have two choices. You can either be good at influencing and persuading others to help you to achieve your goals, or you can be the recipient of the influence and persuasion skills of others in helping them to achieve their goals. And it's up to you. You can learn whatever you need to learn to achieve whatever you want to achieve. You need reading and writing skills as well if you want to succeed in the world of tomorrow. Since most jobs by the year 2000 will require computer literacy, and since you cannot use a computer unless you can use a keyboard and read what appears on the screen, it becomes absolutely essential for you to become a fluent reader. If for any reason your education has not prepared you to be a good reader, make it a do-it-yourself project to become an excellent reader over the next 12 to 24 months. Listen to audio tapes that build up your vocabulary. Read 2 or 3 hours every day. Get yourself a dictionary and look up the words you don't know. If necessary, take a remedial reading course emphasizing phonics, or buy one through the mail. Whatever you do, don't waste a single minute in becoming an excellent reader. All leaders are readers. It is the key to the doorway marked tomorrow. In addition to these other interpersonal skills, you will need selling skills, managing skills, delegating skills, supervising skills, and you will also need the ability to motivate others to do things and to be their best. If you're a parent, you have a tremendous need for relationship skills, both to get along better with your spouse and to resolve the inevitable disagreements and misunderstandings that will arise, and also to bring up your children in the very best way possible. All parents want their children to succeed at life as much as possible. They want them to get the very best grades in school. They want them to be prepared to take advantage of all the opportunities that will arise when they go out into the world. Everything you do to encourage your children to dedicate themselves to their studies, to become lifelong students, will help to set them up for success later in life. And what's the most important and powerful way you can influence your children and others to be better? It's by being a role model, by setting an example in your own behavior for what you want them to be and have and do. Children and adults, for that matter, tend to ignore the things you say if they're inconsistent with the things you do. It's not what you say, but what you do that counts the most in influencing and persuading others. The wonderful thing about all these interpersonal skills is that they are all learnable through study and practice. Perhaps the most important of all the interpersonal skills is learning how to learn. With the skill of accelerated learning locked firmly in place, you can accomplish almost any task you can set for yourself. But without the ability to learn easily and well, your life will be a continuous struggle, especially with those people who have set the time aside to become excellent learners and who will then begin to outstrip everyone else in their fields. The sixth quality necessary for success is that of continuous innovation and creativity. As I said in Session 2, you are a potential genius. You have the ability to overcome any obstacle, solve any problem, and achieve almost any goal in your life. You have mental powers that you have not even begun to tap into. When you learn and practice accelerated learning techniques, plus the memory methods and techniques, you will be astonished at how smart you are, how smart you become. The law of creativity is the law of use. If you don't use it, you lose it. But what we have found is that you can turn your creativity back on, like starting an automobile engine with an ignition key, simply by beginning to use it again on a regular basis. One of the exercises that I do in my training sessions is I have everyone sit down while I introduce them to the power of their minds with a simple illustration. I have all the lights in the room turned off except for one. I then explain to the class that this one light that gives a dim glow in the room is the equivalent to the amount of brain power that the average person uses in their day-to-day activities. I then say that when people begin to use their minds more efficiently, they turn on more of their brain power. At that point, I turn on one more light. The room is now a little brighter. I continue explaining how, when you prepare your mind to learn, taking in information in the way you are best suited to learn, and begin exploring the information with your 7 intelligences, you activate more and more of your brain potential. One by one, I turn on more of the light switches until the entire room is flooded with light. I then say that this brightly lit room is analogous to the computing capacity of your brain when it is fully turned on as well. It is the same brain, just more of it is now available to you to accomplish your tasks and to achieve your goals. As you begin practicing the accelerated learning techniques and methods that have been introduced to you in this course, you will be turning on light after light in your own brain until your brain begins to function like a Christmas tree covered with Christmas lights with all of them dancing and sparkling at once. People will start to be amazed at how sharp and alert you are, and at the quality and quantity of good ideas you come up with when any problem arises. The final ingredient for success, and perhaps the most important of all, is the ingredient of persistence. In fact, if you have clear goals on the one hand and indomitable persistence on the other, there is very little that you cannot accomplish in life. All of the other characteristics and qualities are ways to leverage and to multiply your potential so that you achieve your goals even faster than you would without them. Persistence is self-discipline in action. The more you discipline yourself to persist in the face of adversity and discouragement, the more you like and respect yourself. The more you like and respect yourself, the more you'll persist. even if you don't feel that you're making any progress. And as you continue to persist, gradually you'll see the progress you're making. You will start moving step by step toward the realization of your ideals. You will feel better and better and happier. You will become more and more determined, and you will persist with even greater determination. Soon, you will break through all the barriers that stand between you and your goals and arrive at the top of the mountain at last. And again, you learn to persist by persisting. You learn any talent or skill by persisting. When you begin studying to learn anything at all, especially after a long period of allowing your mind to drift with too much radio, too much television, too many newspapers, and too much socializing, you will find learning to be extremely hard. It will be like trying to push cheese through a strainer, like trying to get water out of a stone. But if you persist bit by bit, you'll start to find it easier and easier to learn. When you begin with a foreign language, you may only be able to remember 5 to 10 words in a single session. After a week, you'll be remembering 20 to 30 words. After a month, you'll be remembering 40 to 50 words. You'll begin to astonish yourself at how much smarter you are becoming, and you'll actually see the difference in your learning ability and your performance. But you must persist. One of the most important lessons that I ever learned in life was the need for mental preparation in the accomplishment of any task. This means that you decide in advance that no matter what happens, you will keep on keeping on until you're successful. This mental preparation prepares your mind for the inevitable and unavoidable disappointments and setbacks that will arise. But when they do come about, you'll be ready. They won't get you down. They won't hold you back. You will bounce instead of breaking. You've already mentally prepared yourself to be disappointed or to be discouraged, and because you've done this, the disappointment doesn't overwhelm you. You bounce like a basketball instead of breaking like a glass. All the key qualities of success, a sense of purpose, personal responsibility, a commitment to excellence, a dedication to service, the ability to cooperate well with others, a creative mind and worldview, and persistence are all learned and learnable. What this means is truly wonderful. It means that there are no real limits on what you can accomplish. Imagine that. There are no limits. Whatever you want to be, have, or do is possible for you. The very fact that you can desire it and dream it means that you have the capacity to accomplish it. It is simply a matter of learning what you need to learn and then persisting until you succeed. Learn the 6 stages of the Accelerated Learning Program. Take some time to prepare your mind and your environment so that you learn in the very best way. Get the information in a way that you most enjoy and that is most comfortable to you, whether you are visual, auditory, or physical. Explore the information using your 7 intelligences. The more different ways you play with new information, the more likely it is that you will develop the necessary associations and connections that will enable you to use that material on demand. Learn a series of memorization techniques, especially the ones you most enjoy, and practice with other techniques that may appeal to you. The more memory skills that you have in your mental toolbox, the easier you will find to retain and apply new material. The 5th stage is to show you know, and to demonstrate your knowledge. Explain it or teach it to others. Practice it by yourself and in real-world applications. Finally, continually evaluate the learning process so that you can make it better and better. Give yourself feedback and get feedback from others. Each time you embark on the learning of a new skill, you should be able to do it faster and easier. You should find better and better ways to make it more fun and more enjoyable. Learning should soon become one of the most positive and exciting parts of your life. When you finish listening to this program, page through the workbook and do the exercises one by one. Let the material soak into your mind like tea leaves soak in hot water. Then, select a subject that you're going to master in the next few months. Write it out as a positive, present tense, personal affirmation. Then, listen to this program again. After a month, when you're well along in your new do-it-yourself project, again, re-listen to this program. Each time you re-listen, you will be amazed at how much more you remember and how much more you learn. You will be establishing a series of hooks and associations in your mind that enable you to learn more and more, faster and faster. Listen to this program again in 3 months, and then 6 months later. By that time, you will be very impressed at how much quicker, smarter, sharper, and brighter you are. You will be learning and remembering new material and new subjects at a faster rate than you ever believed possible. Most of all, you will feel wonderful about yourself. You will have higher levels of self-esteem, greater self-confidence, more optimism, and higher levels of physical and mental energy. Your mind will dance like a Christmas tree covered with lights. You will be sharper and more creative. You will be more positive and optimistic. You will have a tremendous sense that you are in complete control of your life and everything that happens to you. You will have set yourself up for life by becoming an accelerated learning machine. You will absolutely know in your heart that there is nothing that you cannot learn to achieve any goal that you can set for yourself.